Hello and welcome. This is Pepin from Pepin Reacts. And here today, we have a Season 1 character ranking of a show that we watched called Breaking Bad. I'm joined with my best friend, Meader. Meader, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Pepin.
Oh, I love it. Now, this Season 1 character ranking will be spoiler-free. We've seen up to Season 3, essentially. Meader's actually seen the whole thing, but if you haven't seen beyond Season 1, you should be safe to watch this. We won't spoil anything, or at least we'll try really hard not to. So, the way this is going to work is I have a bunch of characters here on a board. I'll pull up that board here. And you can see that we have two different boards here. So we have the left, which is going to be my ranking. We have Meader, which is going to be his ranking. And then we also have an alignment chart here where we'll kind of rank the characters by alignment. Now, I want to keep things fresh, so we're not going to have any like set order. So I'm just going to roll a die whenever we want to grade a character or rank them. Now, the criteria for ranking a character here, it's not just going to be how much you like the character, because that's not really that interesting, I don't think. It's going to be what this character contributes to the show. You can have a character who maybe is not very likable, but adds a lot to the show. You can have someone who's a villain, who maybe is not the best villain, but they are the best foil for this plot right here, or they're doing something super interesting. Now, of course, part of that is just how much you want to see this person on screen. Part of it is, do they invigorate something in you? And there'll be some disagreements here between the two of us, but I think we can just kind of get started. Meader, do you have any questions or any clarifications you want to make?
Yeah, I got so many questions.
All right.
What's going on with this this ranking chart?
What do you mean?
Well, first off, B is above A.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, that was an accident? Let's just be honest. Is it fair to assume that you did that on purpose?
Well, okay. I edited it so that I had docket on here, and then that messed up the order for some of these.
What's docket?
So docket is where we're going to put something before we rank it. So
okay.
Who's on the docket today? It's going to be, say, Walt or Skyler. And of course, the highest ranking here is Lewis, who is... we're gonna get to it a little bit later here, but you know why he's at the top there. And then we have A, which is less, B, C, and then we have Badger tier. And I think that speaks for itself as well.
Okay, and are we doing one character? We're both ranking them, and then we're also adding them to the single alignment chart as well, or are we doing alignment all at the end?
So we'll do ranking the character, and then after we're both done ranking the character, we'll go to the alignment chart for each person.
Awesome.
And then it'll just be like boom, 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 boom.
Exciting.
All right. Are you ready to get started here, Meader?
I'm wicked ready.
All right. So for Season 1, we have 20 different characters here. Now, we're not going to spill who these people are. You can obviously look at them, but a couple of people you might be like, hey, who's that? I don't recognize them. And if that's the case, you probably didn't watch the show. So let's roll this. And let's see what we get. Oh, yeah, I got to click stop. 10. It should just stop, to be honest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got Tuco on the docket here.
Wonderful.
So, Meader, tell me a little bit of your thoughts about Tuco here.
Tuco's crazy, man. So we're talking about what did Tuco do for the story?
Yep.
So we're not talking about the actor. We're not talking about how the actor did. Correct. We're talking about specifically the character of Tuco and what they did in Season 1 of this series.
Kind of. So we can include the actor too. Like if the actor did a really good job, if the acting's really amazing, or the emotions are getting across. Like it's a whole package in a way.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to not just judge the character by how important they were just to the story, or how to say. One example I'll bring up here is from just in center, Domingo. Domingo is someone who's kind of a main character. He's a big portion of it. Someone might rank him at like a C or lower because he's definitely interesting when he's there, but you might say, there's bigger characters. Like how does he compare to Walt? But you have to look at his role from a plot perspective, like how he, what he adds to things going, how the actor does, what do you feel when you watch him? How did he portray it? Just kind of the overall thoughts there. And I think just take the person's role in the story into consideration with that.
Okay. I mean, Tuco is super important. At the very end of season 1, he kind of sets the stage for, I think he kind of represents a lot about the change and kind of shows in a much more visceral way the amount of danger and the amount of shit that Walt and Jessie have stepped in. Where he is like a real embodiment of the meth business, and maybe the dirty side of the meth business, the crazy side, the unpredictability. So for that reason, I think he's a very solid character that is important to season 1.
I definitely agree with you, and he kind of gives you a bit more of that like edge. It kind of gives that edge because up to the point where, prior to Tuco, things are moving forward, they're happening, and you kind of feel like Walt and Jessie are doing pretty well for themselves. Like, oh, hey, they can get through whatever they want. But here, it's just kind of like, this is the world they're in, and, this is the person they're dealing with. Like the end of season 1 where he says, I'll expect a match by next week. Like, you get there's like this imposition of violence, and now they're maybe getting in over their heads. And I think Tuco is like the perfect character to do that. He's crazy, but they also wrote him in a way where he has business sense. Like, I could see how he would get to the top watching this season. So I think he's just, excellently written. He is a little bit tough to watch sometimes because he's so just like, yeah, yeah. But, that kind of helps you feel what the other character's feeling during that. Like, even one of his men started to be like, oh, Tuco, calm down, man. Then he got his face bashed in. So I think he does perfect for his role here.
Definitely agree.
All right, so where would you place him in the ranking here, Meader?
Man, I'm waffling between A and B. I think I'm going to have to put him in the A.
Put him in the A?
Yeah, I think the thing that'll push it over for me is that I love the work that the actor did. I think he did a really good job of portraying this this underlying logic to somebody who is insane and violent and dangerous. A really, really good job. I liked seeing him on screen.
So I think I am going to agree with your rating here. For me, it's a little bit tough because I'm actually going between a Lewis and an A here, because I think everything he does is great. I think maybe the thing that kind of keeps him back a little bit is, like, we don't see the real impact of Tuco. Like, we see him do stuff. He's definitely intimidating, but it kind of feels like he's kind of like a false charge. What do you call it? Like that thing that happens when moose kind of like charge you and they're just trying to like get you to run away. That kind of what it feels like here. We don't actually see any real effects from Tuco. He, besides, the threat of violence, just interaction with the meth and everything. So it's not something there, but I don't like, I think it would have maybe been higher if he had actually done a bit more, like plot wise.
Yeah, for season 1 coming at the very end, getting an A rating, really impressive.
Agreed.
I think it's a fair rating.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the alignment here, and Meader, feel free to if I accidentally go to the next one, just let me know, because I'm definitely going to do that. So for Tuco, for the rating scale, I would probably say he is over here. Chaotic and then evil. Does that seem apt?
It does. Do you want me to go over alignment real quick?
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, so, you have top to bottom, you have good, neutral, evil. And in terms of like a puppy, good, there's like a puppy in danger. Good would be you save the puppy. Neutral would be leave the puppy to its fate. And evil would be you kill the puppy. And then when it goes chaotic to lawful, lawful is you would take this action according to principle, or if it was tempered or in the middle, like a neutral, it would be according to need. And if it's chaotic, it's according to impulse. So I think that makes it really clear where, at minimum, between the lawful, neutral, chaotic, where Tuco goes. He's as far on the chaotic side as humanly possible. And then when it comes to, save a puppy, leave it to its fate, or kill it, I think I agree with you. Tuco would be much more on the side of killing the puppy.
You think how far down I have him seems about right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing anybody as like super evil. But I think he's so chaotic that like it doesn't like I don't think doing something, I don't think saving a puppy would ever cross his mind. I think he would kill it as soon as look at it. So yeah, I think that's a very fair spot to put him.
Yeah. I can't really see him putting him as more evil, like the ultimate evil here.
Yeah.
Mostly because he definitely is going to do a bunch of evil shit, but I don't think he's going to go out of his way to do stuff. Like, I think it's more like reactionary. Like, he sees a puppy, he's like, "Fuck you, puppy," but he's not going to go like to a puppy shelter and start kicking them.
Yeah, and that's where the impulse, I think, comes in.
Yeah.
Because it's not, he doesn't do these things on principle. He does it just because it crosses his mind, and he doesn't have any impulse control.
All right, let's move on to the next character here. So we're gonna roll this die. Oh, actually, got updates this to 19, and we got 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Whew. Now this one is an interesting one here. Up on the docket today, we have Lewis.
Okay. Obviously, we know where this is going, right?
I mean, should we just do it? I mean,
yeah.
Okay. Let's just say what everyone's thinking here. Lewis, perhaps the son of God. Maybe he is God himself. Maybe he's the baby when it comes down to it.
That's true.
But if we think about it, he's just given so much to us. How could we, do anything to get back?
There's very few times in the history of writing, in the history of, obviously television, that there's a character that you can relate to and still feels unattainable. And that feels so fully fleshed out and complete whilst barely getting any screen time.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, he's always there.
True.
Every scene, he's involved. You may not see him physically, but it's like just his presence.
The idea of Lewis, the platonic ideal of Lewis.
Yeah, just incredible. So as far as alignment goes, I think this one would probably be definitely good. And you think he would be lawful, or do you think he'd be neutral? Because I'm always kind of teetering between the two, is because I think Lewis is like a good judge. Like he's gonna give people the benefit of the doubt if it's appropriate. Like he can judge the character, right? So I don't think he's gonna be completely by the books. Would that put him more towards the neutral side, or would that still make him lawful?
The reasoning is what comes down to. So is he good according to the need of somebody, or is he good according to principle, according to something regardless of need?
I would probably say principle.
And he's lawful. He's lawful good.
Okay. Do you agree with my assessment here then?
Yeah, I do.
All right.
I do.
Excellent. I mean, that's all we can really say. I mean, really, there's no words to describe him.
That's true.
All right, moving on to the next character here. We got number 11, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We have Krazy 8, also known as Domingo. Now, Domingo, Krazy 8, I don't know what to call him, but I think for me, he's actually the most pivotal character in this season. Like, even more so than Tuco, because like he's only there for a couple episodes, and you could say that maybe he wasn't wasn't like super interesting and everything like that, but I think that's what makes it super like relatable, right? Because you can't have Walt's first like kill like that, like someone he kind of had to take on the position to do like the act, like he and Jessie even flipped a coin over it, sacred law. Like if he was just this evil asshole or super interesting character, like it might kind of make that scene less impactful, but he's an ordinary guy caught up in the meth business. He's not good necessarily, but he's not totally evil. Like it kind of puts you where Walt's heart is, and I think that's where I just like love this character. The actor also does an incredible job. The way he portrays everything, like I think plot wise, he just does so much. Meader, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as a character of the plot, like what he symbolizes in a way, he symbolizes Breaking Bad, right? Like he symbolizes the breaking point, because for a couple episodes, they kind of jump around this whole scenario of him being, chained up in the basement, and that they know he knows what needs to be done, but isn't able to get himself to do it. And it's so important to the plot and to Walter and his journey through season 1 to see Domingo and how Walter handles that. And maybe he's going to release him and then ends up feeling like he has to kill him because he's going to exact revenge. I think as a plot device to turn up the gas on Walter's situation, and he's absolutely pivotal.
So to give my rating, if you're ready, I would actually, this might surprise people, I'm going to put him in Lewis territory here.
Wow.
I think he's just so integral to this first season. Like, I don't think this first season could have been as good if we didn't have those events play like that. Like, I think it's just so essential to Walt as a character, and so essential to, us viewing this world. Like, I think it's just perfect. Again, I'm not saying he's the best character here, but for what he's doing for this plot and for everything that happened in this actor and just everything that's portrayed, I think it's just flawless.
Yeah, I mean, for season 1, Domingo, I think I have to agree. Just so pivotal to the progression of the story between Walt and Jessie and what they're doing, their descent.
Descent. Was that an episode title? I think it might have been.
I don't think so.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of Attack on Titan.
That's fair.
All right, so when we go over to the alignment chart, this one will be a little bit more difficult to do, simply because we didn't see as much screen time of him. He definitely, to me, seems like he is more towards the evil side. Not nearly as much as Tuco, but he also seems like he's kind of more by the books. I might put him right here. Meader, where are you thinking?
I don't know. It's super hard. I know. So he is able to he's conning Walter through all of this, but Walter's also his, kidnapper, but he also had a gun to Walter's head. Now, how much of all of that was impulse versus principle? Was it his principle that, snitches get stitches? But like Walt wasn't a part of that. So did he really need to be, extradited in that way? I think I agree with the evil side. But yeah, I mean, that's not a bad spot for him. Maybe even a little more towards neutral, but yeah, I'm on board with just a little a little on the evil side and a little on the lawful side.
Yeah, yeah. He definitely does not give off the chaotic energy, but at the same time, comparing anyone to Tuco, he's not, they're not going to compare too well on that side.
Yeah.
So this might be a good spot for him. All right, going on to the next character. I think it's 17, not 18. All right, and we got number 4. This one, a little bit easier to get to. Ooh, this one will be a good one right here. So we have Marie. Meader, tell me a little bit about Marie.
Marie likes to be involved in everything. She likes to have attention on her. She likes to feel like she is important. Skyler's sister, married to Hank, and she really likes purple.
For me, Marie is really interesting because when I first saw this first season, 10 years ago, whatever it was, like I thought she was kind of like a know-nothing character. Like who cares? But kind of seeing her through this, and also kind of partly because of our discussion, like she is just so interesting to me because her part of her character, she kind of just takes the spotlight from things, or at least that's what Skyler says. And I kind of feel like that's the case. Like she does kind of take the spotlight away from a lot of different situations. And it for me, it's really kind of hard to judge her. Let's put it this way, because I think I'm tempted to put her lower in like the B territory, but part of me wants to put her in like the A or Lewis territory because it's like she's not in it for that long, but you understand her. You see how her brain works, like, and you're never like disappointed. Like she just throws these wrenches into things. It's just so interesting to watch. So I'm kind of floundering where I'm going to put her at the moment. But Meader, I'd love to hear where you might put her.
I mean, I agree with you, but I think to put her at the very top is an insult to Lewis. I feel like something that I always try and go back to is if they didn't exist in the story, could the story progress? And I think yes, when it comes to Marie. I love her character. I think she is important, but I don't think the house falls down without her. I think she moves the plot in a lot of interesting ways. She adds monkey wrenches to it, like you're saying. But I don't think she's the foundation of the plot, and for that reason, I can't put her in the top 2 at all. I really like the character of Marie, but as far as importance to the story goes, I think she's much lower on that B, maybe C.
Okay. If you were to put a letter to her?
So this is where I will go to my own biases, and I'll lean her towards B because I do like her as a character. And I think what she does specifically in that one scene where she's flip-flops half the room in a 10 Angry Men or 12 Angry Men or whatever style, when they're talking about what to do about Walt, I think that scene in and of itself, like she kind of stole the spotlight from that. So that's, I'll keep her in a B.
Yeah. I think you talked me off the Lewis ledge, so I don't think she's gonna be long there because you're right. Like she's not essential to the plot. She doesn't have to exist in this, and things would happen about the same. So I guess the question is for me, A or B, and I think I'm gonna put her in A territory, just because I think for me this is probably gonna come down to bias too, because that's where I was gonna have the breaking point's gonna be where you're kind of a bit uncertain. But I think the actress does a really good job, and I think she's just so fun to watch, especially all her facial expressions. Like whenever she's on the screen, I get kind of happy because you're not sure what's gonna happen. Like it feels weird to say that because I didn't think she was anything of a character prior, but now I'm just so like intrigued to watch. So for me, I'll put her in A territory.
That's fair.
Now, if we come to the alignment here, there she is. So where would you think Marie might go?
I feel like she's more on the chaotic side. And I feel like I want to say good, but I don't know that I can. Like she's obvious. I don't think she's evil, but I think she's also like willing to do bad things for her own pleasure and gain.
Mm-hmm.
But she also was willing to go and put herself out on a ledge to try and help her sister. And she's always trying to add, whether it's for her trying to feel important herself or not, like she is trying to add to help people. So I might lean her towards good a little bit. That would be my ranking.
So about like right here.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Okay. So I think I would probably agree. I'd probably put her maybe closer to the waffle side. And of course, you don't have control over this, so it's a little bit harder for you to get pinpoint. But I would probably say she's a bit more over to the waffle side, but she's definitely chaotic. And I think what you said there is definitely true. I don't think she's going to do evil necessarily, but she's kind of in it for herself.
Yeah.
She is willing to sacrifice a little bit there. Like I forget if it was a season. I hope it was, but there's a scene where they kind of came to terms, and Marie like said, "I'm a big fat liar. Sorry." And like it took so much for her to do that, but she did it because she did care about her sister in that relationship. So I think it does put her maybe not on so much the selfish side, so maybe on the good side. But yeah, definitely very selfish and very self-centered.
I don't mind putting her closer towards the apex. I don't have a problem with that. On closer to the lawful side. I think that's a good spot.
Okay. So let's get to the next character. We have 16. We have number 10, who is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh. We have quite the character right here. We have none other than the baby.
Oh, the baby. But we already ranked Lewis.
Okay. If you want to be clear about this, it has not been confirmed, at least yet, that Lewis and the baby are the same person. Son of Christ, he might be, but whether the same son is the son that will deliver us from all hell and torment, who knows? The Bible's not really clear about that. But the baby is maybe a bit of a meme character right now, so it's kind of hard to rank it. But at the same time, I think the baby it's kind of like the background of the plot. Like the baby is a character in and of itself. And you made a point, Meader, that there's the baby room, and that baby room has so much symbolism here. And it kind of just proliferates throughout the whole plot. And the same way that cancer does too. Like baby and cancer are kind of very similar in how they actually affect the plot mechanistically.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the baby like represents so much. I think the baby as a device of the plot is absolutely integral because it represents the future. It represents the innocence of the new life. It represents Walt's future. And it's a lot of what Walt says is driving him towards everything he's doing is to make sure that the baby and his family, but a lot of it, the baby, is going to be okay. I think that it really drives a lot of people within the plot, not just Walt, but especially Walt.
Now, putting the baby here on a ranking is kind of difficult to do because it's an amorphous character at the moment. Not been born yet, if it will be born at all. But I would probably give the baby a ranking of like maybe a B, maybe a C, probably a B here. And I'm choosing a B because it's very integral to the plot, but and this is probably just an issue of putting on a character ranking. It's a little too amorphous here. Like the full effect of the baby and what it contributes is kind of hard to see. It's like you more like see like the butterfly effect of it as opposed to any direct effects. Like nothing is ever clearly this is for the baby, but it's always like this is for the baby.
Yeah. It's so hard. I want to put the baby in docket. How about, man, I feel like B is a good spot because, but when it comes to importance, like, I feel like the baby's more important than Marie.
Mm-hmm.
It's ludicrous for me to say the character of the baby in season 1 of Breaking Bad is an A rank character. I can't do that. Yeah, it's gonna have to go B. I said the words out loud and it felt wrong. I can't. A tier character, the baby from Breaking Bad, season 1. Hot take.
And if we're being real, I put you in the situation, so hey, hard choices. We're gonna quickly kind of skip past the ranking here or the character alignment. Let's just put the baby in neutral.
Perfect.
Can we agree on
that's
that?
That's what I was thinking too.
Okay. And I think just to give a little bit on that, I think the baby kind of is a metaphor for Walt at this point, where kind of like new to the world or new to this world, kind of reborn, and it could go any which way. Whether Walt is going to become evil, good, who knows what. It's kind of just up for a coin toss. We could say that maybe Walt has made that coin flip a certain way, but yeah, that's just my thinking there. Let's move on to the next character. Number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ooh, this one is interesting right here. So we have Gretchen. Now, Gretchen, for those who don't remember, she is Walt's former girlfriend, lover, we think. It's not exactly clear, but she was the girl in that flashback when Walt was just talking about chemistry. And then we also see a couple scenes where Walt is kind of interacting with her. And Elliot's wife as well. So, Meader, give me some general thoughts on Gretchen.
She seems like she's supposed to be important, but we don't learn much. It's all in like vagaries. And it feels like there's a lot there that is still unexplored in season 1. And to me, it like leaves me being like, I hope they do explore that in season 2. Like, and we find out like what's kind of going on there and what some of the backstory is. But as season 1 is in and of itself, I don't think she's particularly important. We have a couple of really good scenes with her. Nothing against, the actress or the writing even. I don't think she was written badly. I just don't think she's particularly important at this point in the story.
I think I would agree with that too. And there's definitely some intrigue in there. Like, what was Walt's relationship with Gretchen? And how would this play out later? But you could probably introduce her in season 2 and you wouldn't know the difference. So I myself, I think I'd put her in C category.
All right. I'm putting her in Badger.
Badger?
Yep.
It's fair enough.
I think if she disappeared from the plot, it would be zero difference in season 1. My hope is that by, season 2, season 3, whatever, where I feel differently about that. And she becomes a more important character, but I have no idea. So
Right. So if we go on to the alignment chart, this one kind of hard to do because not a lot there to go off of.
yeah.
I would probably put her at maybe lawful good around here. I think she's average, if anything. I don't think I got any like evil signs from her. I don't think I got any like too much chaotic signs. So maybe right there, but this is just stab in the woods.
Yeah, I mean, she seemed pretty lawful, at least in like she seemed like she had like a scientific approach to things. So I'm good with the lawful side. I might, like, her and Elliot agreed to like pay for all of Walt's treatment, and like, so I feel like that leans way more towards good, but where we don't know some of the backstory, it's really hard to be like, is that guilt? So, or is that like is there blackmail on her? Maybe, like, who knows what the reasoning there is. I'm satisfied with where you have it because I don't think there is enough information about Gretchen.
Right. Yep. Completely agree on that. So let's move on to the next character. 10.
This is never going to give you an easy, like, 1 or yeah, gonna make you count every single time.
I feel it. Hold on. I can count by 2s, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10. We have the doctor. So this is the oncologist, I believe he is. He has a name, but I don't have it right now. But he is, I'd say, definitely a background character, but a very important character. And I think he does a lot to kind of have Walt not freak out a lot, because there's a way you could play this whole thing out with the cancer and everything where it creates like a lot of fear and everything in that character, or the doctor kind of starts stealing some of the spotlight here. But I think the doctor does a really good job in kind of just giving things in a very calm, even, reasonable tone and making you feel at ease. Though I'm going to tell you some really bad news too, but it's okay because we're going to do our best to everything. Things, blah, blah, blah. So, like, he's kind of a hard character to rank because for me, like, I definitely can't put him in A or Lewis territory, but I think for what he adds to the plot and the fact that he needs to be there, I think he does a perfect job of it.
I don't know. I don't know that I can agree with you on basically any of your points.
What? Really?
This seems like another meme in that regard, because, like, you could take that doctor and replace him with anybody else and it would be the exact same thing. Like, the doctor feels very replaceable, forgettable. If you didn't have his picture there, I would 0% be able to tell you what he looked like. Like,
Wow.
I don't think that the doctor. Now, just to backpedal a little bit, I think what the doctor does do is, as a plot device, is allow cancer to be talked about in, allow them to check in on the cancer, if you will, the cancer as a character. So in a way, he kind of is the cancer. He's like the pulse of the cancer. But I think that I just don't think the doctor in and of itself is particularly important. So I'm gonna have to put him Badger.
Put him Badger?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a big disagreement. I didn't think we'd have this much of a disagreement, but I don't know. Maybe it's just my affinity for this actor. But every time he's on screen, I'm just like, yeah, I'd want this guy as a doctor.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree with that. But as a character in the show, take him or leave him.
Okay. I'm going between B and C right now. I was honestly thinking B, but I think he brought me down to C, if I'm being real.
Oh, man. You poor doctor.
Yeah. I don't think he could be replaced by anybody else. I think for what he's doing, it makes perfect sense. But yeah, I guess you could maybe even cut him out and just like have the whole thing with cancer. Like, I guess he's kind of an exposition machine in some ways.
Here's my thing. If we heard this in a phone call, would it make any difference? If Walt and Skyler over breakfast one morning when Walt Jr. goes to school have a conversation, oh, the doctor called and said blah blah blah. Like, would it really make a difference? I argue no. That's my Badger stance.
Yeah, I think it would. Mostly because I think just the doctor's reassuring tone and the way he handles like the subject material kind of allows Walt to reflect off of that.
Interesting.
So that's just my reasoning, but we'll move on to the character alignment. Again, this one won't really be too hard to do. I don't know. But I think he would probably be here.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely good, and definitely seems pretty lawful by the books. I'm sure he does maybe a couple things, like
You're just wildly speculating. I'm sure he probably speeds sometimes.
I just got an impression. I mean, he's probably a cool dude out of work. I'm like, maybe, I don't know, maybe he gambles a lot. I mean, not that that's bad, but
Look at that tie.
I think he's got like a bad streak. Actually, that is a pretty nice tie.
It's a gambler's tie right there.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Maybe this one will be number 1. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have, I believe it's Combo.
Combo.
So Combo, what do we know about Combo?
I think Combo's in what, like one scene?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Him and Skinny Pete are at Jessie's, and he likes doing meth.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much what I think all we know about Combo.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think he was supposed to be in this one. I think he was supposed to be in the season 2 one.
Well, he's in this one.
But he's in this one. I would say he does a little bit to show like who's Jesse's friends are and kind of what they're like. He doesn't really have a character though.
Yeah.
So I would put him in Badger tier.
Yeah, he's as replaceable as the Doctor. I agree. Dr. Combo.
Okay, keeping in my disagreement. If we're
Dr. Gretchen Combo. Sorry.
Oh, Jesus. So, if we put him on a ranking scale, where might you think? Hard to do based off the little interaction.
Yeah, I mean, really hard. So, I would have to put him neutral on the good, neutral, evil, because I don't know that we know anything enough about him. I might lean him a little more towards chaotic, just because he's willing to do meth. I don't know.
I think I'd put him here. I think he is probably not a great guy. I mean, maybe not terrible, but I don't think I'd trust him too much. And he definitely seems a little chaotic, but I don't know.
You put him on the same level as Domingo, as a guy who tried to murder Walt. Fascinating.
Yeah. I could see him going down that route if it came to it.
Okay.
It's wild speculation, to be clear about that, but just my reading.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna roll the next character here. Let's see, it's gonna be and stop. Oh.
Whoa! You cheated.
Now, this one will be an interesting one to discuss here.
This is the ham and the potatoes.
I like both of those.
Well, how do you feel about Walt?
Well, my thoughts about Walt, it's really complicated here. Because I think Walt is... He is probably the best character, I would say, in the show, outside of Lewis. Because there's so much transition that's made with him, and so many like conflicting things, but you can see just where the character's going at every kind of point. Like you never like don't understand what he's doing or don't kind of okay, maybe there's some points where you're a little bit more unclear, but you can kind of see where he's thinking. And you can also see he's very smart. Like he's written to be smart, but he also is smart. Like it's not something where you're like, oh yeah, this character just happens to be smart. He's a smart guy, but no, you see that he's a smart guy. And you kind of see these passions, all these different aspects. He's very, very multidimensional, very, very layered. And I think that maybe this character would not be nearly as compelling if it wasn't flawlessly executed by Bryan Cranston. Like, he just took what was there and just, like, amped up to, like, 11. Like it's just really incredible to watch. The facial expressions, like the little transitions, the little subtleties, and like you can see like the mind working in the background. And it's hard for me to like take him outside of that role. At least when he's dressed up as this. When he's dressed up as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, a little bit different, a little bit of a different look and everything. He's younger, but there's way too much to say about the Walt as a character here. Whether he is a good guy or a bad guy, I don't know. That's kind of left to be unseen. But I think I'm definitely rooting for him at during the season. Maybe in an anti-hero kind of way, but definitely in some sort of way.
And I mean, as far as importance to the plot goes, like he is the plot. So I mean, excellently written, excellently executed, like next level execution by Bryan Cranston. Season 1, Walter White is Lewis level, no question in my mind.
Yep, I think that's where we'll probably both put him here.
I think it's the second easiest one I've had to rank.
Yeah. We're not going to go super in-depth on his character, unlike some of the other characters with this one, only because we've done that plenty of times here, and it would take way too long. So definitely check out the other videos we made if you want to see more on Walter. Now, this one is going to be really, really tough to rank here on the character alignment.
Okay.
I want to hear your thoughts, Meader, because I have no idea.
I think right off the bat, lawful. Everything he does is according to principle. He always has a reason for doing things, and it's always based around some sort of a principle he has. Now, whether that principle is moral or not is a different fish, but there's always some sort of principle involved in that. Is that agreeable?
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
Now, would he save the puppy, leave the puppy to its fate, or kill the puppy? We literally watched him murder a man. That was pretty wild. We watched him blow up a place. Now, was the reason there because it was the right thing to do or just for the fuck of it? I'd say no. I think season 1 Walter White is kind of neutral, which is weird to think that a man who can murder somebody on screen, chain him by the neck with a bike lock in a basement, and then strangle him to death with that bike lock is neutral. I don't know. Maybe I think I might have just convinced myself a little evil.
Yeah. I think I might place him maybe like this here. And my thinking with that is I do think he is lawful. I think he has a reason, but he's a bit more towards the neutral side because I think he can convince himself of for any reason. I think if he wants to do something, he can find that reason to do that thing. So whether that is lawful or not, I don't know, but I think it does make him a little bit chaotic. I would agree that he is definitely more towards the neutral side. He's mostly caring about himself. Part of what he cares about is his family, or at least that's what he says. So I think that's more selfish reasoning than it is a good. I don't think he's striving for something good. I think he's striving for what he wants. And I think he has a tilt to the evil side because he seems like he's willing to do it. And this is where things get a little bit confusing because are you evil because you're malicious or are you evil because you're willing to take malicious actions?
That's really good. That's a really good question. So I think the thing that leans him towards evil is when he blows up that guy's car just because the guy was a dick. I do disagree in leaning towards chaotic. I cannot think of a single thing he does that is not based on principle. That is just based on his impulses. Maybe blowing up the car, but even then that was very premeditated. You saw those seeds planted back at the bank like way early in the episode, and this was much, much later. I feel like he's very much on the lawful side when it comes to why he makes his decisions. It's very principle based. It's not based off of impulse. So
Okay.
maybe we can split the difference.
Yeah, yeah, I think agree. I think you should be a little bit more over there. Now, would you say he's more or less evil at this point than Domingo?
I think a little bit less because Domingo was the aggressor in the altercation that ended with, the murder. I think Domingo would have murdered just because Walt was an inconvenience, and to kill Domingo, Walt like really struggled.
Yeah.
So I think season 1, Walter White is pretty much right where you have him.
Yeah, he would have probably tried to find some peaceful way out if he could have, like,
Yeah.
but he didn't have that choice. And he's being more forced into making these actions. But he still leans towards that evil. And also, kind of like you said with the car scene, he has that vindication. Like he got off a bit about like on doing that. And I think the
Yeah.
same thing when he blew up the building too. Like he kind of got off on that power a bit.
Yeah.
And what that means, I don't know. I think we've talked about that a lot. What
lot.
it could mean. But yeah, I think that's probably a good place to put him.
That man, ranking him on the alignment chart is difficult.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where we're gonna rank him in the later seasons. All right, next character we got. My fucking god, 11.
That's the last one. That's easy.
Is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's 11 out of 11.
Wow. Oh, Meader, you can math. So we got Hank. Now Hank is a tough character to judge here. He's a real asshole. He seems like he's good at his job. But we've had a disagreement here because I don't feel he's shown as that competent at his job. Maybe in a couple points. But he is definitely very fleshed out. I'm having a hard time getting my thoughts together about Hank. How would you describe Hank, Peter?
I really like Hank. I think he is a well-written character in season 1 as a low simmering threat. He is the background noise threat to what Walter is doing. In that it would take a lot for Hank to suspect Walter. He looks right through him in that regard. But I think that kind of adds like a little edge to the story and to Walter. And I think Hank also shows the side of Walter that is like the previous conception of pre-cancer Walt. Of this is what Walt was. Like how Hank perceives Walt is how Walt used to be. And it kind of shows a stark contrast to what we end up seeing at the end of season 1 with, blowing up a building, blowing up a guy's car, doing massive deals, standing up to drug dealers who will sooner kill you as look at you, like murdering a man. I think it's important that we have Hank who could never see that in Walt to really understand how far Walt has come.
Yeah, you're selling me on the fact that he's integral to the plot here. And I don't think we've seen in the season how he might... Look, I think I see the potential. So I think I see the potential in how he could be integral here, but it's not made entirely explicit, but it still creates that intrigue. This one I'm struggling with a lot, as you can probably tell.
Yeah.
So where would you rank him if you were to rank him?
Well, I am going to rank him. Probably A, because I'm waffling between A and B. I'm going to put him A because I think I like the actor. I think he does a really good job playing a character who is both good and bad simultaneously at what they do, who is both very sharp and aloof simultaneously. I think and very he's likable and relatable while also being insufferable. I think he is so polarizing to me. I hate and like him at the same time that I really like that in a character. I think that has some depth to a character.
I think I agree with everything you're saying. I think he's going to have to be a B for me, though.
Okay.
And I think the reason is because he just, like, at least at this point right here in season 1, he might change in season 2 or season 3 or wherever. He just doesn't seem that competent to me. And I don't think they sell beyond the fact that he would be a threat to Walt or to the future endeavors. Like, he's maybe a threat because he's close to Walt. He's maybe a threat because he's a DA agent, a cop, but I think that threat's just there in general. The only thing that makes it more threatening is maybe the proximity, but it also kind of seems like he's maybe not as good at his job as he would need to be. There's a couple of points where they do indicate that he is good at what he does. Like he finds that bit of meth in the car thing when Gomez, didn't see it there.
Yeah.
So they do things, but I just don't think it sells me on that aspect of his character necessarily. So
I think the fact that he is less of a threat, I think he is less of a threat to Walt than an unnamed, just the thought of the DEA is. He's less of a threat than the DEA itself is. And I think that's what makes him a good character. Because he is lowering, like Walt has less chance of being caught at doing this thing than anybody else because he's so close to him, because he has this stigma.
I see. And so that's kind of the thing that maybe
It gives Walt an edge.
Yeah, a little bit of an edge, a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
It's almost like one of those shows. I mean, this is not what's happening in the show, but kind of like two characters are friends and they're kind of fighting each other. Like one's the detective, one's like the perpetrator, and they kind of get information from each other.
Yeah.
So kind of like that a little bit, but not quite.
Classic Death Note.
Yeah. Damn it, you know what I was referencing. So if we're to put Hank on the ranking here, I would say, he's less towards the lawful side. Because I think he's this, he enforces the law, and that might make you think, oh yeah, he's definitely lawful. He definitely has rules and everything. But I think he enforces rules, but he doesn't really care about the rules as much. Like, I think he'd be willing to enforce a lot of different rules, if that's just what it was. Like, hey, this with the past. Come on, buddy. But I do think he has a good heart, is the thing. Like, I think he's not really willing to do evil so much. So I might put him around here.
Yeah. Yep. I think he is less principled than Walt. I think he's willing to. I think he is very principled, but I think it is less than in his decision-making process than Walt is. And yeah, I think he would go in and save the puppy every single time.
Yeah. Yeah, which is kind of interesting because it's so weird to have a character that, I mean, outside the doctor here, and outside these two, and let's just forget about those two for the moment.
Yeah.
Like, he's the goodest character that we've ranked so far. And it's kind of strange because Hank is probably the biggest asshole. Okay, maybe Tuco's the biggest asshole here, but, he's kind of the biggest asshole out of this bunch.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, when he needs to, when somebody needs to be protected or something needs to be handled, somebody needs to be trusted, like Hank is the guy that people go to. But you're right. Like he's an unlikable asshole, but also like he's not. And that's why I ranked him in the A. Fascinating.
Oh, man. You're making me want to change my rating, but it is what it is.
You're good.
All right. Lucky number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, on the back docket today, we have Meader, drum roll. Badger. Holy shit. I don't know what that was, but that was incredible.
Thank you. That was special effects for you. I'm doing a little Foley work.
All right, Meader, tell me a bit about Badger.
Badger. See, Badger, you hate Badger for some reason. I don't. I think I like Badger. I think he is an important character in season 1. He shows up and kind of represents where Jessie was and kind of shows Jessie's growth. He's inept, he's incompetent. But I think that's an important character for the story and for Jessie, and for the development. He doesn't get much screen time. He's in one episode, maybe 2. But I think it's an important one.
Yeah. He's definitely a good plot device to show how far Jesse's come. And he does a very perfect job at that. But he's also his own character, too. Like, he's not just like, oh, Jesse, like, a week ago. But he's like this guy you knew from high school. And whenever you're around him, he made you slightly uncomfortable. And he plays that part perfectly. Like, I have a bias against him because he just does make me really uncomfortable. Like, because it's like, I just feel like Jesse. It's just like, dude, come on, let's just do this. Like, I've had situations where I've dealt with that. But, I don't think that really means he's a bad character. It just means that, he's doing perfect for what he's supposed to be doing in this plot.
Yeah.
So,
no.
Where would you rank him here, Meader?
C.
C? Yeah, I think I might agree with you. I think I'm going to put him in C.
Okay.
Okay. I know, obviously, you think put him in Badger, right?
I think you created a Badger category and then didn't put Badger in it. Like, what does it even mean now?
You gave a speech, Meader. It convinced me.
I give a speech on every one of these characters. That's funny.
My Badger rating right here is more for how I feel about Badger than it is about like an objective ranking. It just so happens that the Lewis one happens to coincide with my feelings also.
Okay, I understand them much better now.
Okay. So if we're to put Badger on a scale here, it's a little bit hard to judge. He's definitely more towards the chaotic side, I'd say.
He's way more chaotic, yeah. I mean, he shoots a crossbow at the RV as it's driving away. Like, the guy's wild.
Less than Tuco, for certain.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we can really judge how good or evil he is. Like, I'd say he has a bent towards the evil side.
Yeah.
But we don't really seem to... No, actually, he shot the crossbow at Jessie.
Yeah?
But that's kind of like ignorant. Like, it's just kind of like chaoticness, right? Like, I don't even think he has thoughts going on in his head when that happened. I just think he has this...
Just pure chaos.
Yeah. Jeez, okay. What would you say? Where would you put him on the evil side?
I'd probably put him very neutral. If there's any lean towards evil, it would be a tiny bit, but I don't even know if I would say there's that. I think he would very much be a hands-off, like, whatever happens, it's none of my business type of deal. If you saw a puppy, he wouldn't save it. He wouldn't actively go out and try and kill it. He would just be like, okay, there's a puppy. Let's eat Cheetos. Like,
yeah. I think you agree with that. So, this is the fair place to have him?
Yeah, that's a fair place to have him.
All right. Cool. Going backwards. 9. Let's see where we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we got 7. So I'm going to use your trick here. See, ready? Because we have 9, 8, 7. Ooh. Now we got the other amorphous character here, and that character is Crystal Meth.
Oh. Okay. Tell me about Meth, Nathan.
So Meth is kind of like the main driving force of this plot in a lot of ways, but kind of not, right? So they're using Meth as a vehicle to get the money, to kind of get the power, whatever it is. Like Tuco and also Krazy 8 and some of the other characters, they're dealing with Meth. Yeah, Jesse's friends are dealing with it. But I really don't think the show actually deals with Meth that much, really. We see some bad effects. We go to the Roach Motel, and we see some ill effects there. We see Jessie get panicked. We see that Tuco kind of goes a little bit crazy, but Tuco's just kind of crazy. So I think Meth is more like a medium for these plot dynamics than it is like a central focus. This could be, honestly, like, instead of having a story about Meth, this could be a story about like committing some sort of fraud, right? Financial fraud, or maybe like smuggling puppies across the border. Okay, maybe not that, but like I think you could have something else other than Meth. And the fact that it's Meth, I think, does lend some interesting sort of things going on. Like, 'cause that's one thing that's just not respectable. But I feel like Meth is kind of the least, at least. I don't think it's integral to the plot necessarily.
Okay, I disagree. I think Meth is important. You couldn't have this be about fraud. You couldn't have this be about smuggling, because the entire point of the Meth is the science for Walt. That's what makes him so good at it, is he has the chemistry mind. And chemistry is very important to this plot so far. He's a chemistry teacher for all that stuff. But we see that that's like part of how his brain works. And I think, you have the obvious direct literal translation of chemistry between, chemistry between people or anything like that. I think there's also a grayness to Meth where some people would be like, oh, well, it's not that bad. Some people would be like, Meth is the worst thing in the world. It can kill people, but it also doesn't necessarily kill people. Like, it could be okay in some situations. Like, I know I would be like, I'm fine with us legalizing it and taxing it and allowing safe places for people to do it in a libertarian type way. But I know, not everyone's going to feel that way. I think it's polarizing, and it's kind of like, I think it kind of symbolizes some of the plot as a whole, in it's dangerous in large quantities or left unchecked. And I think that's kind of what makes it being a powerful drug, one that psychs things up, and one of those accelerants in a way. And it's dangerous to make. It's toxic to make. I think there's a lot about Meth that makes Meth important to Breaking Bad.
Yeah, let me think about that for a second here, because I think you're making some really good points. And yeah, you kind of got me going with the chemistry point, because Walt being chemistry, also rational and everything. And I guess there's the idea of the drug. Like the drug is a literal analog for the drug that people are getting off on throughout this whole season. Like, Walt's getting off the drug of, say, aggression, violence, control, whatever it might be. Marie is getting off on some sort of thing, that she's kind of induced in this drug-like state. Jessie, the claim to, say, fame, let's say. Hank, doing great at his job and being respected as well. There's all these different sorts of things that people are getting, off on and kind of getting high on. And I think, it kind of does. It's interesting that we have this huge speed up in progression, and speed is the little thing that's kind of causing that. So, it makes me kind of rethink where I might be on that. Yeah, I think you're right. Now, if you're to put Meth on the ranking here, as far as a amorphous character, impossible to do, but let's just do it anyway. Where would you put it?
Either A or B, and I think I've convinced myself of A.
Okay. So I think I'm going to put it somewhere similar, but I'm going to go with B. You did convince me because I was going to put it in the C category initially. That's kind of where I was thinking. Close to Badger here, but I think B territory is probably about right. It is very integral. I don't think it'd be very hard to tell a similar plot without the aspect of meth. And also, it's like meth is a very specific drug. It's already got a history to it, so hard to replace that. Now, this one, impossible to do here, but meth on an alignment chart.
Chaotic.
Chaotic.
Right.
Yep.
And I mean, personally, I don't know that you can put good or evil to an inanimate object. I think it's how it gets used, but maybe lean towards evil because it has the addictive qualities. And it makes, everybody we've seen do it has either been paranoid or angry. So at least season 1 meth, how it's been portrayed, I think has been portrayed as chaotic evil.
Okay. So let's put meth right here. I think that's a good place. Do you agree?
Sure.
Okay. Good enough. All right. So let's go to the next one here. And this is a 5. So we have 8, 9, 10. We have Elliot back up on the docket. So
wait, was it 5?
Yeah, 5.
Well, you picked 6.
What? Well, it's too late now.
Oh, Elliot snuck in there. Slippery Elliot. Classic. Classic Elliot. I mean, what can we say about Elliot that we haven't already said about Gretchen? I think they kind of go hand in hand, save for 2 things. One, we saw a scene with Walt and Gretchen that didn't involve Elliot. And 2, we saw a scene with Walt and Elliot that didn't involve Gretchen.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think so far he's not been super important. I think his offer to pay for to give Walt a job showed an important thing about Walt in his pride. And for that alone, I'm going to rank him higher than Gretchen. But as an overall plot device and character, I think he is very unfleshed out. And it's a lot left to the imagination.
Yeah. I agree with everything you say. I think I'm probably going to put him less than Gretchen. But I think it's because, he made the job offer, and it was interesting. And he also had that little interaction with Walt at when he got the present and everything.
Yep.
So he seems like a good guy, but he just kind of seems like a general, all right guy to me. I don't think there's any intrigue about him. I have some intrigue with Gretchen because I guess, what was this interaction, this relationship he had with Walt, or she had, what was that chemistry that was there? Here with Elliot, he's just some guy, and he's got money, and Walt has a relationship to it, but it's not really clear what that relationship is. Of course, it doesn't mean that that Elliot's bad in any sort of way, because that might get explored in a later season. But it's just kind of if you didn't have him here, I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put him on the Badger territory.
Yep.
And then where would you put him?
C.
C. Interesting.
I think his exposing of Walt's pride was very, very important. To my understanding of Walter season 1.
I think you're correct about that, because without that event happening there, it would be. Yeah. It kind of showed a lot about Walt in the instance.
But you're right. That is interesting that we kind of have almost opposite C and Badger.
And I apologize if I'm cutting you off at all.
No.
I can't see you on the camera, really. I have to look over here. So, all right. So we have Elliot. Elliot, I don't think we really know enough to kind of rank him, if I'm being honest. I mean, he seems like he's probably on the more good side, maybe on the lawful side, but I don't know. Just
I mean, I'd probably put him literally with Gretchen because everything we know about him seems to be exactly the same as Gretchen. Offered to give Walt a job, offered to work with him again, and we know he's in the sciences. So like, I assume that's lawful in that regard.
yeah,
But it's a lot of assumptions.
yeah. So let's just put him there. Not that
Okay.
that was easy to do. All right. So we got the next one here, and we got number 2. Ooh, this one should be interesting.
Jessica Pinkman.
Jessica. So tell me what we know about Jessica Meader.
Played by Aaron Paul. Exceptional work in the acting department. I want to start with that because I think him and Walt both are just really, really well acted. Kind of a burnout loser who's who's getting back under the tutelage of a former teacher who saw potential in him that was unrealized, and now trying to see that potential in himself and realize it. And continuing to fuck up along the way, but actively learning, and not being given shots now because he's burned a lot of bridges in the past when he's, thrown those opportunities away. So I think very much a season 1 Jessie is an anti-hero who you don't want to, like, you don't root for him to win the day, but you also don't root for him to fail. And I think he's relatable probably to a lot of people in the, you fucked up for so long that by the time you figure out it's time to get shit on track, no one believes in you anymore.
Right.
I think that's kind of hits on some base feelings for a lot of people.
I would say he's definitely integral to the plot. And
Oh yeah.
Out of all the characters, I think he's had the most character growth here. I would say Walt has changed the most, but for me, it's hard for me with Walt because he's changed a lot, but I don't think he's grown. I think he's just, I don't know, he's kind of walking a path of chaos, or he's just kind of getting stuck in these holes. Whereas Jessie, you can kind of see Jessie go from where he was to being somewhat competent, searching for something more. Like, he learns a lot from Walt, and that kind of shows, especially in the episode where we see kind of him being contrasted against with Badger. So I would say he's probably going to be definitely high up there in the rankings, but I think the question is going to be where for me. Where might you rank him here? Oh, you have anything else to say?
No, I just to say that I agree with you. Obviously, absolutely pivotal to the plot. I'm gonna put him in Lewis category because I like the character, and I like seeing, especially when your main character in Walt is, to me, not relatable as his actions progress. Like, maybe he starts out fairly relatable and then goes further away. I feel like Jessie started out less relatable for me and then drew towards relatable. And I see him actively trying to be better. And I like that. And I think it's a good contrast to Walt in his chaos.
For me, I feel like I didn't relate nearly as much to Jessie as you did. Probably as a lot of people did, to be honest. And obviously, amazing actor. I think he does what he does really well. So nothing to disparage that. But I feel like I'm never really rooting for Jessie. I feel like I'm kind of like his parents. I'm just kind of like, hey, man, get your life together. Start applying yourself. And part of that might just be because I'm more seeing things from Walt's point of view than anybody else's. Like I'm not gonna say I see Jessie as a loser, but I see as someone who needs to apply himself. And it's tough for me to put him in a ranking in that case because I don't see, like, he feels like he is essential. Like, he is kind of helping. He's like a catalyst that kind of gets the plot going. Like, him and Walt, like, together, they kind of do something crazy. They definitely need each other, but I don't feel like he is driving. I feel like he is kind of like an ingredient you put in there, at least at this point. That's just my thinking. So I'm gonna put him I'm tempted. Part of me wants to say like an A minus. I don't think he's B. I don't think he can be B here, but maybe B plus, A minus. So I'm gonna put him in A, and that's where I think I would put him.
Okay.
I'm a little bit unsure, as you can tell, with all my little interjections.
Yeah, no, and I mean that's fine. You know, you said he's not driving. He's an ingredient, but I think he's a pivotal ingredient in that. I think he shows a lot about Walt, and I think he shows he's kind of the introduction into meth as well. You don't necessarily have to be the driving ingredient. You know, a lasagna. Some of the spices you add to lasagna to me are extremely important to the final flavor of the lasagna, regardless of noodle. The main things: noodle, sauce, cheese.
Yeah. I think one thing I'll also add, just about what you said right there, is Jessie is definitely the heart when it comes to the Walter Jessie dichotomy. Like I think if Jessie wasn't there, like it was just Walt, like things might get a little bit too grating in some ways, like where Jessie kind of brings in that lightness. And it's kind of weird to say that, not like, oh hey, we're having fun, but it kind of brings in a bit more humanity to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So as far as character ranking goes, or alignment, Jessie, I think he definitely seems like he's more towards the lawful side, and I think he is more good than Walt. I think he's very smart and capable, but would I put him as being? I don't know. What were you thinking, Meader?
I don't know. It's so difficult because, I mean, I can't say that anybody who's like in the situations that they get themselves into is good. Season 1 Jessie is neutral to evil. I would say probably like 95% I would put towards neutral with a small lean towards evil. Now, lawful to chaotic is also very difficult because I don't know that we see him do much on principle. I think we see him do more things chaotically than on principle, especially in the beginning. You know, when he's fucking the neighbor's wife while he's cooking meth, and he has milfs all over his website. Like, I might say he's more towards the chaotic neutral than anything would be my guess on that. He does meth and just wild when he's doing meth. I think he wants to be lawful. I don't think he is lawful.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Because I almost kind of feel like he is almost like what was that saying? Like a water fits the area it contains or something. I don't know what it is, but like I feel like Jessie, wherever he is, he kind of like reflects that back. Like if he's in a chaotic environment, he is chaotic.
Yeah.
If he's in a lawful environment, like when he's kind of getting trained by Walt, essentially, like he starts becoming lawful, more Walt-like. So I think that's what makes him really difficult, because he's kind of all in here, but I think his natural gravitation is towards the chaotic side.
Yeah, I think he is a chaotic neutral with a minor lean towards evil character who wants to be lawful good. But doesn't have the influences he needs to do that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing there. Maybe that's what I'm getting at with my point about him having the heart. He wants to be good.
And I mean, we do see good stuff that he's done. You know, he talks about, God. I don't know whether I'm running into season 2.
Yeah, we'll just skip it then.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, but it's a lot of interesting stuff there. So
there is.
We'll move on to the next character, because this video is getting pretty long here.
This is what you come to see. Hot takes.
All right. Oh, so now we have a die because we're at 6. That's special. 4. We have Carmen.
Oh, the principal?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she seems all right. She seems supportive. She's definitely not very integral, but I still think she has enough presence in the plot to kind of just mention and talk about briefly. She's supportive of Walt. She's kind of letting him kind of cope and kind of do his thing, and she's kind of hands off. Like she's very hands off principal, I'd say, because a lot of stuff Walt does where it doesn't seem like it's very structured. Not to say that Walt's unstructured, but I think Walt's kind of teaching things how he wants to teach things. So that's kind of my general thoughts and opinions on Carmen. What would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's much to say about her. I think what you said, I think the being supportive of Walt was a big thing. And I think one of the only other big times we see her is when she's talking about all the equipment that's been stolen from the lab. But I think that's just like she's in an administrative role, and that's kind of what she plays. Unfortunately, I got to put her Badger. I think she's 100% replaceable in every aspect.
Yep. I'll put her in Badger too. I agree.
Not really fair for an ancillary character to rank them next to Walter White, but
no. And of course, if anyone's watching and you're like, "Hey, Pepin, why did you put her on there? You shouldn't have put her on there. That's not fair." I agree. It's not fair, and it might be seen as bad, but I think it just gives us a chance to talk about all these characters, and that's really what it's about. It doesn't mean if someone's in a Badger character that they're a bad character necessarily. It just means that maybe they didn't have that big of a part, but they still should be talked about.
Also, this is season 1. You never know whether I think it'll be interesting to see in later seasons too when we do these, which characters return and which ones become more important and which ones go from a Badger to a Lewis or a Lewis to a Badger.
So as far as this right here, the character alignment, this one's kind of tough to do. We don't have much to work with, but I'd probably say maybe same category as the Doctor. Lawful good.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on to the next one here. Oh. No. 4. We have the toilet. Meader, give some context to the toilet. Tell us what this character has done, what it contributed, and how it can maybe help us in our everyday life.
The toilet is really important in this story. The toilet comforts Walt when he's vomiting. The toilet takes all the dead body as it's flushed into the sewer. The toilet is where Walt sits when he's contemplating whether he's doing a pro-con list on murdering somebody. The toilet continues to show up in some of the most pivotal scenes in the show. And I firmly believe that putting the toilet on this list is as important as putting the baby in Meth.
I definitely agree with everything you said there. And I think the toilet is also filling this metaphorical role where it's kind of like, it's kind of indicating to the audience that, hey, this is a shit situation. And that, we're going to have to flush some shit down the toilet, right? This is kind of what Walt's dealing with. I mean, this is kind of like one of the big things in episode 1, where it's like he's trying to close that glove compartment, but he can't. It keeps falling down. He keeps trying to swat these flies, but they just fly off anyway. And this is kind of what Walt is dealing with. And this is what I think he wants to escape from. He wants to escape from everyday toils, like this meaningless kind of stuff. But there's that saying, every man is a man, even if they're a king, when they're on the toilet. Everyone shits. And it kind of grounds you to that everyone's just a human here. So for me, I think I can't put the toilet up in Lewis category, if I'm being clear, because I think that would be a disservice to Lewis. But I still think the toilet is very integral to the plot. I mean, I can't put it in Badger territory, so it's going to have to go in C territory, I think.
Think about the metaphor here, You have clean water, the which water is the basis of all life. Clean water in a very dirty place. People sit their asses there. They drop their waste into this clean, life-giving water. Amazing metaphor.
Yeah.
Very glad to see the toilet every time it's on screen. It's definitely going into Badger. It could be replaced with a urinal.
I will say that the aspect this toilet has is almost like a reverse baptism, like motif in
put
some
it
way.
in C.
Put it in C.
Fuck, that was amazing. You just blew my mind.
So, I think as far as good evil, I think the toilet is going to be just pure, just neutral in everything. It accepts everybody. It takes all the shit you can give it. It might struggle with it, but it's gonna do its best.
Yep. Leave the puppy to its needs leave the puppy to its fate according to its needs.
Yes, completely that. So let's go on to the next one here. Oh, we got a triangle. Holy
D4.
shit! A 3. 3, 3, 3. Next up, we have Skinny Pete.
Yeah.
So Skinny Pete is a minor character for certain, but he definitely plays a much bigger role than, let's say, Combo does. And we see a bit of character from him because he's very, I don't know, he's very just like kind of like, I just remember that scene where they're trying to get into the place and he's just like, kind of like does that. And he's like, no, Tuco, my homeboy, like he's great. Like he talks in this way where he seems this very real, and this is kind of just feels like a real like drug dealer or someone who would be in this situation. And I think it provides like a lot of like insight into that world because so far a lot of the characters we've seen have been kind of extreme. I think maybe Jessie is the everyman or the straight man in the situation, but I think that Skinny Pete is definitely a great analog for just like an average like drug dealer. And I think he does that job really well. Is he a super interesting character? I don't think that's true. But I think he is very serviceable for what he does. And I think we kind of need that lens in, especially when we're trying to, like if we just had Tucos in this world, like, it'd be very difficult to get that nice, broad view of that industry.
Yeah. No, I think that's well done. I think there's also the aspect that we see him he kind of leads him and Combo group when they're at Jesse's place and being fair weather. Well, if you're gonna give us drugs, we're bouncing. Like, I think there's that, and the whole thing with Tuco. He introduces Jessie into a deeper world. Like, he went to jail with Tuco. So he's kind of deeper into the world, and he's the next step down or up or however you want to look at it on the stairs to continue forward in the progress that they're making. And for that, I think he is definitely more important than Combo, and probably more important than the toilet. I think I'm putting Skinny Pete at B.
Ooh, interesting. I think I would probably put him in C territory for myself. I think probably C plus. It's a little bit of a tough call. I think the actor did a really good job because he didn't oversell anything. He didn't undersell anything. It's just the right amount. And I'm probably just gonna repeat what I was saying before, but I think it just gives you a good baseline for the world. And also, you're right. He does kind of give you like Jessie and them like an avenue to progress the plot with. So
yeah.
Bad way to put it, running out of mental energy, but let's go over to the ranking here. So on a scale of waffle to chaotic, I think he's definitely more on the waffle side. Like, I think he has this kind of respect culture, right? And
yeah,
I don't think he's just gonna like kind of do whatever and just kind of like fuck off. I think it's like, hey man, we got work. I don't think he's like caring about that too much, but I wouldn't say he's over to the chaotic side.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
No, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe about right here. And he doesn't seem like he's a bad guy. Doesn't seem like he's good though. So I might put him maybe right here. It's in the same place as Jessie.
I mean, I don't know. I think we've seen Jessie do more bad things than Skinny Pete. Skinny Pete like went to the hospital with Jessie when Jessie got beat up and like felt bad, and Skinny Pete like tried to like. I think the worst thing Skinny Pete did was try and bounce on Jessie when he didn't want to smoke meth, which is shitty. But I don't know that that's evil. I think he would be like just very neutral, if anything. Personally, I'd lean him towards good before evil. So that's interesting that we get completely different reads on him.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, though, we're kind of judging on this like little line right here.
Like we're also judging on like 2 scenes. Let's have a 40-minute conversation about this. All right, that's good. I'm happy with that. That's fine.
I think we could do that though.
We could. I know we could.
Okay, let's go to 3. No.
You could have just hit go the whole time.
Wait, what? Really?
You could. Yeah, you were hitting start stop, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, that's no fun. Why would you say go when you could get an answer? Actually, you could just keep hitting go. No, that's too slow. Ready, stop. We got number 1. So next up on the docket is Walt Jr.
All right. Walt Jr. What a character. The realest character. The only one who never bullshits. He is always spitting facts right to your face. If you like it, if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. Raw, uncultured truth.
I feel like I don't see the attraction to Walt Jr. as much as you do. I think he's still very important. Like, in the same way that kind of like Skinny Pete gives a lens into the drug world, I think Walt Jr. gives the lens into the family. And I think he actually kind of summarizes the family mood, like in a lot of different ways. He is, I think he's a really good written teenager. He's definitely a little bit rebellious, got a little bit of a naughty streak, but he's also has a good heart. Like he wants what's best. I think what a struggle is, he's not explored. Like I feel like the edges of him are explored, but I really don't know him as a character per se. And maybe that's just a fact of me not being able to read him as well.
No, I think everything you're saying is fair. I personally just really like his character because it's no bullshit truth, which I have mad respect for. I think season 1 Breaking Bad, Walt Jr., if he doesn't exist, the story's the same. Which is so shitty to say because I really like him as a character, but I don't know that he is a linchpin in season 1 of Breaking Bad. Will he become more important? Maybe. Is he as important as Tuco in season 1? I don't think he is.
Yeah, he's kind of more like, how did we get here, as opposed to like, where are we going?
Yeah.
So let's see, where would you rank him, Meader?
B. Solid B. Hope someday for him to progress, but I think B is very fair. I don't like it. Fans, I don't like it, but it's where he belongs.
So I'm gonna give kind of 2 thoughts here in my actual rating. So I think my feeling about him, like my emotional side, is probably more a C. Like I don't connect with him too much character wise and everything. Like, but I can appreciate what he does for the plot and the lens he kind of provides, and also some of the commentary he kind of says, like you said, it kind of cuts to the bone. So I'm gonna have to put him as a B. But it's kind of like the like one of these other instances where maybe I like the character, I have a bias towards them, but they're doing too much, and you got to put them to where they actually are. So that's my thought there. If you're to put them on the alignment chart here, where do you think I might put them?
Oh man, pretty neutral. Maybe a little towards chaotic. I don't know. maybe a little towards lawful. Help me out on this one. I'm really waffling on this one. I think he's good.
Yeah, I would say he's probably neutral, good, kind of about like right here.
Yeah.
I think he has a similar disposition to like what's good and bad, as Gretchen and Elliot do, and
Yeah.
maybe he's less good than Hank. I think I could say that at least at this point. I don't think he's super chaotic, or if he is, maybe put him to a little chaotic side. But that's just mostly just because he's a teenager. Like I don't really see that
funny.
his character.
I was going to lean him a little lawful because he has the principle of telling his dad. He has the principle of A, just always being fucking real. But B, being like, if you don't want to fight, then just fucking die. Like he clearly has some principle in that regard. So I might lean him a tiny bit lawful.
Okay. Okay, so let's say he's about right there.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Season 1 Walt Jr. right there. Love it.
Yeah.
50-50.
Okay. 1. I'm actually just going to disagree with this one right here. I think we should do Skyler for last.
Okay, we'll do Skyler last.
So we'll just reroll again here. Oh, that's better.
Nailed
2.
it.
If it came up with a 1 again, I would just... I don't even know. So we have Gomez. Now,
okay.
Gomez is definitely a minor character here, but he still like shows up in the plot a lot.
Yep.
I think he's mostly a plot device to have like someone for Hank to kind of give his thoughts and ideas to. Like he's kind of like a sounding board, and I think he does that pretty well. I think he's also another plot device here to kind of even off some of Hank's rough edges. Like you could say Hank has a little bit of some racially charged language there, and how he refers to like Mexican people, and it's maybe not great, but Gomez is Mexican himself, and Gomez and even the entire office they kind of accept it. And I think Gomez is kind of lends into the office politics and also office culture, and it kind of makes it kind of takes Hank from being like a complete asshole to like, oh yeah, he's just kind of like messing around with his friend here. It's all in good fun, and that's what Hank would say. Hank gets a hard time sometimes. Whether you agree with those that statement more generally, hard to say, but I think he's there for a reason, but I don't think he's totally essential. But I think we still need that lens in. I think we need someone to differentiate, like the straight man for the police department, for the DEA. DEA, hard to say.
I had him firmly in Badger until you just made that argument, and now he's a C. I think he was important enough that he's not completely replaceable, but I don't think that he is like a cornerstone of the plot. I like what he does. I like his character. I like the actor. I'm going to go a solid C.
All right, and I'm going to agree here. I don't think he's replaceable. I think we need him. I think he's same sort of thing. Actually, there's a couple characters here. Like I think these two right here are like this playing the same role but on different sides, which is super interesting. As far as alignment goes, this one is a little bit tough to do, but I would probably say he's probably more lawful than Hank, and maybe about as good. Maybe a little less good. This one just kind of a flip of the coin.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably put him really close to Hank because all we know is that they're friends. So we know that they like are relatable, but I haven't necessarily seen him do anything more or less good or lawful than Hank.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a good point. So let's just put him like in proximity to Hank. And it's kind of interesting that we have a couple characters right here, and I think this is all within like the normal spectrum. Is what I'd say. Most people are somewhat lawful and somewhat good. And then we have the kind of characters that are more chaotic. I think there's a lot of chaotic people out there too, but so to get to the last one here, let's roll the die. Okay. Gotta wait for it to stop. And stop. All right. We got a 1. And, oh, hey, looks like we have Skyler up on the docket here. So Skyler is a super interesting character, but she's super hard to judge, is what I'll say right now. Meader, I want to hear you talk a little bit about Skyler.
Skyler, season 1, Skyler, very. I think she kind of feels like a background character. She feels kind of like Hank in amount of screen time that we see her, and amount of importance to the plot. Like it's a lot of seeing like how Walt is changing through her, and how Walt changing her.
It's almost in a way like Skyler. Okay, let me put it this way. So we didn't really know that much about Walt prior to the series. Like, we can kind of guess what his life was like based off the couple scenes we saw in episode 1 and some of the stuff that we see kind of later on. Like, it kind of hints at the previous Walt, but really don't know Walt per se. But I think what Skyler kind of gets across is who the previous Walt is. Like, she's kind of making this imaginary character that we can like kind of place there and say, oh, this is how Walt is changing based off how Skyler is perceiving these changes. And it kind of has a way to like give that character exposition without actually giving it fully, which I think that's kind of the plot device there. And she definitely is more of a contrast. Kind of like you're saying, though, I don't think she does much. Like she's not bad in any sense. I really like the actress. I think she does a great job. I think there's certain points where she's kind of pursuing her own end. And I think it's maybe the main thing. She's kind of pursuing her own end to get Walt treated and everything. Like she's kind of pushing him, and she's kind of just trying to like control and kind of just keep things going. She wants him safe. But I don't know if it kind of feels like she's more like a manager than it does like a manager who just really cares about their job.
How would the story have changed if like, let's say the backstory is Skyler had died 5 years before? Like, they still had Walt Jr. Maybe Walt was like 3/4 of the way to adopting a baby. I don't know how the baby would come in, but like, Skyler doesn't convince Walt to stay. Walt doesn't smell her pillow and her cream and think about like the plea. She doesn't drive that. How does that change? Because Walt's ready to die. And in that regard, like, Skyler is massively important to season 1. So she has massive impact, but she doesn't feel like that main of a character to me. And maybe I'm completely overlooking things, and I am totally open to having people tell me that. I still know where I'm going to rank her, though.
See, I'm conflicted about this myself because I want to put her high, but it's hard to because she is a background character. The one thing that I'm kind of getting in my head, though, is maybe she's not a background character. Maybe she is the background. Like she's always kind of there providing that juxtaposition, because at least with the scenes with Walt, other characters, not so much. She's not important. She's completely integral to the plot. I think that's for sure. But it's more like an orchestration that's happening as opposed to like like her doing something. It's the same way that like someone who is directing a play is very, very important for what happens on the screen. But they're not the one doing it themselves. They're just the orchestrator behind it. That's maybe not a great analogy for Skyler, but I think it's kind of the same thing. She's providing orchestration. She's providing backdrop. But she's not the actual like main star, at least not in this season.
Yeah. No, I'm on board with that.
Okay. Where would you rank her here?
A.
Yeah.
I don't think she's Walt or Jessie, but I also don't think she's Marie or Skinny Pete.
I gotta say, I like how we have 4 in each category here.
That wasn't on purpose, but at Gomez, I realized it happened. I'm like, oh man, I know exactly what's gonna happen here, and it did.
Well, it's beautiful. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Skyler, I think I would agree. I think A territory. And I think it's mostly for her plot importance. Well, okay, it's plot importance and bias for me. I think in reality she's probably a B. If we're looking at, I'm not gonna say objectively, but if we're looking at her as a character, just like for real, probably a B. But I think the fact that she's so integral, so the plot here puts her up into A.
Yeah.
And of course, again, doesn't mean the actress does a bad job or anything like that. We're not saying that. Just saying that, plot-wise, she's not doing a whole lot this season necessarily. But that might change in the next seasons. She might become like a Walt or a Jessie, where you see her just do something on screen, you're like, holy shit.
Right on.
So, if we were to rank Skyler as a character, I would say she's definitely more towards the lawful side.
Mm-hmm.
And I would put her more towards the good category, not that we can see her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Same ranking as Hank, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it looks like we are actually wrapped up with all these characters. So, if we look at the ranking here, it kind of looks like nobody's really in the chaotic good side, which is kind of interesting. No one's in the lawful evil side, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like almost like a line.
It is.
I definitely think we're definitely right. The most evil character here is Tuco.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
And the most chaotic.
Yeah. Like he is like a great example of chaotic evil, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, of course, we have the most interesting character ranking here. I think the most two interesting ones actually are Walt and Jessie.
Yeah.
Like where they stand in this, that's super intriguing. And just to compare our rankings here, I think we had a lot of agreement.
We did.
And I think where we disagreed, it was more minor. Let's see here.
Yeah, I mean, they're all like one changes.
I find it intriguing that we both agreed on Domingo here.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about that prior to this recording this episode. I'm like, Domingo's got to be like an A or an S tier. Sorry, a Lewis tier. But I don't know if Meader will agree. But that might be some interesting discussion. But no, we both agreed, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. What would be really interesting to me?
What's that?
I want to see what other people would pick out as like our most like off assessment. Like which one character did we put somewhere that somebody else is like, that is like so wrong. Mm-hmm. Like not necessarily in a bad way, just like you completely disagree. Cause I have one for you that I'm like, I don't understand how you can have that person in that spot over other people. Like that makes no sense to me. And I want to know what other people think like that, because I'm hoping some people agree with me.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to think about that, because I think we may have ranked these characters a lot different than other people would have.
Yeah.
That could just be a part of our discussions that we had in the over analysis. But, I would love to hear what you actually think about our picks and what your picks would be in the comments. So, go down in the comments on YouTube or, podcast, if this happens to be a podcast, who knows, whatever. But and to say, hey, this is what I think about this character. Where did you rank the toilet, Elliot, or any of these other great characters like Meth and the baby? Tell us. We need to know.
The four main characters.
And of course, while you're at it, leave a like on the video, subscribe. There's also a Patreon. If you do that there, I'll be happy, I suppose. It may not like fill that void in my soul, but it will fill my bank account, and that's the only thing that matters, right?
It's true.
So, Meader, do you have anything else to say before we close out?
No, I appreciate this discussion as always. I think this is something really unique and cool that we just did here. I'm kind of scared that mine came out to 4 per category, but it is what it is, bro.
I think you planned it from the beginning. I'm with you.
I figured if I froze, you'd change your mind.
Okay. Now, things happen to people on a day-to-day basis. Love sex, drugs, all in the past. You can be reborn, not as a person, but as a category of things that happen to, say, coalesce upon an idea. And you can spread, perhaps like a virus, but maybe something like better. Maybe like goodness in the heart, the soul, and provide us warmth during these great, great holidays. So everyone, have a happy holidays. And this was Pepin from Pepin Reacts. Peace.